You know that this isn't an ideal meal, but do you know the difference between quality dog kibble and garbage? After this video, you'll know exactly what to look for. So just like people, a dog's diet, nutritional needs can be broken down into the three basic building blocks of calories, which are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Now, the difference between a dog's diet and a person's diet is the ratio in which those macronutrients, the proteins, carbs, and fats, take place in a good, well-balanced diet. And so we're going to talk about each of those, talk about the percentage of the percentage of calories that ought to come from each of those macronutrients. And then we're also going to talk about, not only the ratio, but also picking a really good quality. And at the end of the video, I'll give you my recommendation for a dog food that I've found that is both affordable as well as meets all of these nutritional needs. And I found that my dogs do really well on them. So let's tackle proteins. So as we talk about proteins, obviously a lot of this is going to just vary from dog to dog. Just like trying to figure out the nutritional needs of people vary from individual based on how active they are, their personal metabolism. So if you're really curious and you want to get really specific, you're going to need to take a visit with your vet. In talking about a general, just a general rule, if you have an average golden retriever 70 to 90 pounds with an average activity, each day getting out running around, you're going to need somewhere between 1,500 to 1,700 calories. Now, as you talk about that, when it comes to protein, depending on what stage of life your dog's in and their overall health, a puppy's going to need somewhere around 22% of their caloric intake to come from protein. Now, one of the things you want to be careful with, if you take a look at the first 3 spots on your ingredients list of any dry kibble, you want those to be meat products, fish, chicken, beef. Salmon is a popular one. I've seen there's a lot of dog foods out there now with duck or with buffalo. Make sure that these are actual meat ingredients, that you're not looking at meat digest or byproducts. Another thing to look for, you don't want a carbohydrate to be in one of those first 3 spots. If you have meat byproducts or a carbohydrate that's in those first 3 spots of the ingredient list, that's an automatic reshelving of the protein. One of the reasons that protein is so important in your dog's diet is because it provides the amino acids. Your dog's body is only able to produce about half of the amino acids that it needs in order to rebuild the muscle and perform the other functions necessary for just the average active life of a golden retriever, Labrador, or otherwise. And so make sure that your dog food that your dry kibble is providing about 22% if it's a puppy. As the dog gets older, after a year old, you can drop that percentage down to about 18. I like to keep it between 18 and 22% there remaining, because a lot of if you're running your dogs in these hunt tests, they're going to be burning a lot of calories. They're going to need those amino acids to rebuild that muscle and to keep up to keep up a healthy skeletal muscular system. So make sure that you're getting quality meat products that's providing that protein. One of the reasons is that protein's constantly changing. It's degrading, and if you get a meat byproduct, it's already degraded to the point that it's what's called a low quality protein source, and it's not going to provide the amino acids that you need, and that's the point for giving your dog protein in the first place. So, summary on protein. At least 22% of the calories need to come from, for a puppy's diet, need to come from protein, a good quality protein. As your dog gets older, that can drop a little bit. I like to keep it right around 20%, but again, that may vary from dog to dog. So when we're dealing with carbohydrates, this might be the easiest one of the 3 to talk about, because really, if you do all your homework with the proteins, which we just talked about, and the fats, which we're going to talk about in a minute, carbohydrates will really take care of itself. So in the conversation about carbohydrates, I don't really worry about percentages so much as I worry about making sure I get the right kinds of carbohydrates. What you really want to do is focus on complex carbohydrates, something like sweet potatoes, or yams, beans, peas, lentils. Those all contain about 70% of their calories in complex carbohydrates. depending on the energy level and the activity level of your dog, you're going to want to watch also kind of the fiber, and that's going to come in with some of these carbohydrates. If you've got a dog that has a super high level of energy and activity, you're going to want to avoid any dog food that's high in fiber because the dog's intestinal tract is so short, fiber has very little time to do anything in the dog's body, so it's going to pass right through. It also absorbs water and other nutrients. And so a dog that needs those calories and that nutrients as well as the water for the hydration purposes, you're going to do the dog a disservice health-wise if you give that dog a diet that's high in fiber. On the flip side of that, if you've got a dog that's older in age and the activity level has dropped off, then it becomes, you might consider adding something in there with a little more fiber because it helps carry a few more of these calories through, and your dog's it's gonna help keep your dog in shape. So again, make sure you got your protein, your fat in their proper percentages, and the carbohydrates. Just make sure you're avoiding things that are just kind of vacant fillers. I try to avoid dog foods with. There's Lady out in the yard. I try to avoid fillers with corn, soy, wheat, other things like that just provide very little, because they're some of them are high in fiber, some of them are high in sugars. They provide very little nutritional value for Lady's diet. So the last thing we want to talk about now are the fats, and the percentages is not when we talk about the percentages of fat making up your dog's diet, we're not talking about gram for gram, we're talking about overall percentage of calories coming from fat. So when we talk about close to equal percentages in grams or percentages of fat and protein, or a little bit off, a little more protein, a little less fat, it's not grams, we're talking percentage of overall calories. And that's important because almost 9 calories per gram of fat versus only 3.5 or 4 calories per gram of protein. If you match those gram for gram, you're going to end up way out of balance on the overall calories for the day. So what you want to shoot for is somewhere between 15 and 20% of your dog's calories coming from the fat, but you want those to be quality fat sources. This is important because there are some essential fatty acids. There are some essential fatty acids that your dog's body needs. And one of those that it can't produce on its own is linoleic acid. Linoleic acid comes from safflower oil. It comes from lots of places, but some of the best places to get it: corn oil, safflower oil. Both of those have over 50% of their fatty acids or essential fatty acids coming from this linoleic acid. It's the one essential fatty acid that animals can't produce within their own body, and so your dog needs those in there. What you want to look for when it comes to the types of fats to avoid, you're going to want to avoid things just very similar to our own diets. You're going to want to avoid those saturated fats and those fats that are going to increase the bad triglyceride levels. And so keep in mind, again, if you buy a quality brand and you look for these percentages, you're going to be doing your dog a huge favor when it comes to their overall health, the length of their life. I told you at the beginning of the video that one of the things I wanted to do here at the end, I want to tell you one of my favorite dog foods if you're on a budget. If money's not an issue, then go out there and buy. There's all sorts of dog foods that you can buy that are outstanding. We've got a post up on the website, easyretrievertraining.com/best dog foods. Check that out for our 5 favorite dog foods. But those are going to be a little more spendy. I mean, you get what you pay for. If you're on a budget, or if you're in a pinch, one of the other things I like about this, I found a dog food that I can trust that I like at Walmart. And one of the reasons I like that is because you can find Walmarts anywhere, and they're almost always open. And the brand of dog food that I've started in those pinches, or when money's tight on any given week, is called Pure Balance. And let me show you. So here's basically Pure Balance. About 14 to 15% of the calories from Pure Balance dog food comes from fat. They're at 24% from proteins. The proteins are really, really good. The first 3 ingredients, depending on the flavor you get, The salmon and pea dog food, you know, the first two ingredients is a real salmon and then a salmon meal, and then it's ground peas. So I got 2 of the 3 proteins out of there. As you go down the list of ingredients, some of the ingredients get a little bit cheaper, but they do have a good sunflower oil, which is going to be a good source of that linoleic acid and the essential fatty acids that your dog needs. So like I say, in a pinch or in a budget, Pure Balance is kind of it's my choice in a pinch or when money's an issue. So check that out. You can get that at any Walmart. I think you can also order it on Amazon. So there's my list. Make sure you check out our next video that we're going to be coming out with. We're going to be diving in specifically to the dog food label and what everything on it means. So you now understand fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, how they play out in your dog's diet. Check out our next video that we're going to come out with to understand the dog food label. Also, check out any other videos. If you haven't already, please click below and make sure you subscribe to our channel. We're going to be coming out with more videos on how to teach your dog how to take a stand. We're going to talk about how to teach him how to take hand signals, whether you're doing hunt tests or just hunting out in the field. We've also got some other fun videos coming out where we're going to review the Gunner Kennels G1 and compare that to one of the most common kennels out there because it's one of the cheapest. And I'm going to tell you why you really need to look at these Gunner Kennels. The product they make is quite outstanding. So make sure you check out those videos in the upcoming weeks. And again, if you haven't already, please subscribe below. And if you found another dog food that you like, please leave me a comment down below. Let me know what's your favorite quality dog food. I'm always looking, always trying to figure out what's out there. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm Brian with Easy Retriever Training. Have a great day.